Hello everybody and welcome to a new channel. This is called Wheeler's Sports Talk, where basically I'll be discussing various different sports and the news and what's happening in the world of sport. And I want to discuss with the World Cup. England losing to France, honestly, I'm not surprised because all media is one about Mbappe, and how can Kyle Walker stop Mbappe. Everyone forgot Griezmann, and he's crucial for that French squad to link up with Mbappe and just be lethal in that area. So really, I'm not too surprised that we lost. I'm not. What I'm surprised by is England lose the World Cup, and the headline is Dave the Cat is adopted. Only we would bow out of the World Cup by losing and adopt a cat. That's made the headlines. And honestly, again, not very surprised by that. What I am surprised by is, throughout all of this, the slating that Gareth Southgate is getting. He's worked hard on this England squad, and I think he's going to have 1 or 2 more years with this squad, because I honestly think he will produce something great. We managed to make the Euro finals. We managed to get this far. I genuinely think that there's more to come with this England squad. And I think slating him, wanting him gone is a bad idea, because I honestly cannot think of anyone better at the moment that could potentially do a good job. What I'm not surprised by is, going on to rugby now, is the sacking of Eddie Jones for the England. I think it's come at the right time because we've not done well. Again, like Gareth Southgate with the football, he's built up a squad that's produced. It has produced, but we can only now go so far. Like, we've played 12 matches, we've only won 5 of them. With the squad we have, we should be producing better. Without a doubt, we should be producing better. So I think the replacement is going to be the Leicester coach. I think it's Steve Borthwick. I think he's favourite to replace Eddie Jones, ready for the Six Nations, ready for the Rugby World Cup. And honestly, I think it has come at the right time to have someone fresh, to be able to get the results that England need to help boost. So I think that's a really good choice. I think he can do that for England, just help get the results. If he gets us to the final of the Six Nations, or does really, really well with the Six Nations rugby tournament, and potentially semi-finals, I'd aim for the quarter-finals to semi-finals in the Rugby World Cup. I'd be happy with that if we can get that far. With Eddie Jones, would never happen this year or the year after. So I think it is time for a change, time for a fresh face. And speaking of fresh faces and, all this freshness and stepping down, I am wearing my Collingwood top. I am an Aussie rules fanatic. Don't worry, I will be keeping all Aussie rules neutral. So when I talk about different teams, different users, I won't just be talking about Collingwood and bigging them up. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it neutral and unbiased. But in the news of Aussie rules, there is big news from... It is the Collingwood Football Club. There is big news from Collingwood. Captain Scott Pendlebury, been captain for 9 years. He's decided to step down as captain, which is huge. When you captain for 9 years, you sort of got a leadership role going. To then step down from that can't have been an easy choice. I mean, he is mid to late 30s, so I think he's thinking about the family life, life after Aussie rules. So I think that's why he's stepping down, because I think he's going to plan to retire soon. That's what I get from the stepping down as captaincy. So that could be really, really interesting to see who would replace him as captain. I honestly think Taylor Adams would be my pick. The only problem is he is quite injury prone, but that's because he's a gutsy footballer who basically puts his body on the line. Like, the guy is ridiculous in the midfield, and he's been leadership role of the vice captaincy. Like, we've got about 4 different vice captains. You know, you got Darcy Moore, Taylor Adams. I think Maynard is also one as well. But I think out of those picks, I would go with Taylor Adams, with just for the experience factor. Yes, he is injury prone, but I don't think he's ever been out for a season. I think he's been out for like months, but not an actual whole season of the AFL period. So I honestly think that he'd be my pick to replace Scott Pendlebury as captain. Yeah, that's what I would go for. Definitely. And in the news of horse racing, and again, another big sport of mine, so I'll be talking a lot about that. There's big news from the horse racing world. Well, controversy as well with the all-weather. Basically, there's this argument about, because of how serious the weather's been, you know, getting the all-weather courses trying to get going and stuff like that. Controversy from Newcastle, because with all the frost and everything, the weather racing there couldn't actually go ahead. So now people are like, oh, it must be some of the weather, you know, none of the weather, you know, all this malarkey going on Twitter. I look at it and I just go, these course hands and clerk of the course have worked so hard trying to get racing going through these extreme weather. Like, it is extreme weather. You know, you could say it's climate change, but all you have to do is look out your window and say, this weather is extreme. Like, it doesn't take Greta Thunberg to say, look, this is what your weather's doing. Ice caps melting and a polar bear's falling over. You know, it's common knowledge that there is a severity issue here. You know, it's severe. You know, we've had so many different severe weather warnings. I'm honestly not surprised that all weather can't go ahead, as well as, you know, the jumps and stuff like that. So I wouldn't really dish the blame out to, like, the courses, you know, saying, oh, it's all weather. Like, it is all weather. Like, don't change the name. It's just ridiculous weather that we've been having that is just basically unsafe. You know, it's ridiculous that all this blame's being thrown out, you know, at Newcastle course, because, you know, they can't get where they're going. I mean, if you looked at Lingfield today, like, torrential snow, like, how they got that going, that's just testament to the course, you know, and how they look after it and stuff like that. Newcastle and Wolverhampton, though, and Wolverhampton had like 4 different inspections today, and that's going off for a couple of hours, you know, so that's going about like 6 p.m. Wolverhampton tonight, and they had like 3 inspections today, like one at 7, one at 12, and another one at 2 p.m. And now they've said, right, we are definitely going on this. And I just think that's just because of the severe weather. You know, other news in the horse racing is Honeysuckle. Maybe instead of going up against Constitution Hill, she might be racing in the Mares' Hurdles Chase. Honestly, I've been tweeting a lot about this. Honeysuckle against Constitution Hill, after her performance at Fairyhouse, finishing 3rd, Constitution Hill would definitely, this is going to be controversial, would definitely beat Honeysuckle after her performance at Fairyhouse. Don't get me wrong, she's a great horse. You know, you don't just win 17 races in a row and not be a great horse. Like, she's a great horse, don't get me wrong. The problem is, her performance at Fairyhouse, it was a race she should have won. There were a lot of novices in that race, some making their debut to the national hump, you know, over fences, over hurdles, you know, they were making their debuts at Fairyhouse. So I think with her experience factor, it's a race she should have won to build up to Cheltenham, to get the confidence flowing. She should have won. If she'd won that race, I would have said, right, Constitution Hill and Honeysuckle, it's going to be close. Because she didn't win and finishes 3rd, and it wasn't even a strong 3rd either, like, it wasn't even a gutsy finish. I honestly think her going over the mare's hurdle chase and not worrying about Constitution Hill would be the right move for her, so she can go up against like Love Envoy, for example. I think that would suit her better than trying to tackle on Constitution Hill, who keeps on improving and keeps jumping fluidly as he does. That's my opinion on that. But yeah, I honestly think Constitution Hill is improving a lot, and I really like his chances at Cheltenham. If Honeysuckle runs the mares, I do think she has a chance as well. I was thinking, have I left anything out? Talking about rugby, done football. I don't really want to talk about football much. I mean, I will talk about football, obviously. Just because it's a popular sport. People seem to like it. No idea why. No, I'm kidding. No, it's a good sport to talk about, definitely. Conversations there. I think I've covered everything, to be honest. And if I have left anything out, be sure to leave it in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. And this will be a weekly thing where I'll read headlines of different news, different sports, disciplines. Like, it's not just going to be football, rugby, Aussie rules, horse racing. There'll be various different aspects of it when the seasons sort of start to get going, like particularly when the Formula One starts. I can be talking about that. You know, when the cricket season comes, I can be talking about local cricket, you know, the Ashes, you know, stuff like that as well, just when the news keeps pouring out. At the moment, concentration is on the Aussie rules, with the captain stepping down, Eddie Jones being sacked as England manager, Honeysuckle versus Constitution Hill, and if Honeysuckle's going to race in the mares, I think that's quite important. I think I've covered the most important stuff from the week. As I said, this will be a weekly thing that will be happening. So I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe for more, and leave a comment below if there's anything you want to add to the discussions and stuff like that. I'll be sure to reply. I'll see you in the next one.